The Dallas Mavericks got they behind whooped by the Boston Celtics in game one. Oh my gosh. Celtics won 107-89, and this was a lopsided victory. It started off very rough for the Dallas Mavericks. Couldn't make a shot, was struggling to keep the offensive flowing. Like, it was just a lot of different things going wrong for the Dallas Mavericks. Sloppy turnovers, bad passes, bad decision making, wasn't playing enough defense. The list goes on and on. It was a bad game here, but I don't want to discredit the Celtics by saying the Mavericks played a bad game, because you got to admit, this was great basketball from the Boston Celtics that I witnessed. It started with Kristaps Porzingis. This is where it all began here, because this man, he really carried this Boston Celtics offense, bro, because he started off hot, had 11 points in the first quarter, didn't start, finished the first half with 18 points total. Was money. The Celtics started running the offense through this man. Jason Tatum didn't really have to do much. Jaylen Brown didn't really have to do much. But he also was a defensive anchor when he was on the floor. Kristaps Porzingis had some great blocks, had some great stops on the defensive end, and just brought another presence down low that slowed the Dallas Mavericks down. And this was a huge piece right here and a huge help for the Boston Celtics, because one of the things that they've done earlier on in these playoffs against the Thunder, and like they did against the Minnesota Timberwolves when they played them, was if the jump shot wasn't working, the three ball wasn't working, then all right, they could just kick it over to Luka or Kyrie to get some points on the inside. They get that inside game going a little bit. If the shot's not working, go to the hoop. That's a lot more difficult to do when you got a tree down there like Kristaps Porzingis, a guy who's 7'2", can move his feet, like played great defense in the paint, and then can come down court and torch you with his jump shot. That's what we witnessed in the first quarter and the second quarter. The Celtics literally ran the offense through Kristaps Porzingis as he was balling out, and this was a huge help. So no matter what you did, the game plan of how much Kristaps Porzingis was going to affect the Dallas Mavericks in game one, I can promise you nobody in that Dallas Mavericks organization seen this man dropping 18 points in the first half. Nobody's seen it coming. And I personally think it was just, one of those things where you have a good game, bro. Like, for all of my true hoopers out there, those guys who really play basketball, who played at somewhat of an elite level, or who just played competitively at any point in your life. Sometimes when you stay away from the game, or you haven't been hooping like you wanted to, that first day back, it's something about it. I don't know what it is, but that first day back is just a gun show, bro. You just be letting loose, and you just be on fire. And this is my experience, so maybe you haven't had that same experience. But personally, whenever I haven't hooped in a long time, and then I go hoop for the first time in a minute, I'm blazing fire, bro. I'm torching. I'm letting loose. I'm living my dream of being Damian Lillard, Manny Ginobili, all of the names you can think of. Yeah, Manny Ginobili. That's what it is. That's what it is when I'm out there torching up, like Darren Wilson. Like, dog, I'm telling you, the days where I don't hoop every time, but I may give myself 4 or 5 days, or maybe even a couple weeks, maybe a month. I'm not gonna go too far, but after a month, if I go hoop, I'm torching, bro. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. And I think that same thing happened to Kristaps Porzingis, because he was torching in the first half, bro. Straight letting loose. And then the total, he had 18 in the first half, finished the game with 20 points. Obviously, it was, a little bit less playing time in that second half and all of that. He didn't have to play as much because they were already spanking him and blowing him out. So it was a slight difference there, but man, to have 18 points in 12 minutes, that's crazy. He only played 7 minutes the entire second half, and he had, 2 points, but he was still trying to let it fly. But I think when he came out the gun, he was just sharp, bro. He was sharp. And for the Dallas Mavericks, a team who wasn't playing defense, they weren't really awake. They came out kind of flat in a way. Came out flat and never really picked it up. Luka Doncic tried to help them out and pull them along, which he did. He cut the lead to single digits at one point, but it just wasn't enough, bro. He didn't have any help out there. Kyrie Irving, we'll probably never see him have a game like this again in this series, but he was broke, dog. He was broke. 3 for 10 in the second half. Finished the game with, I think, total 12 points. It was awful, bro. I don't think we'll see another game like this from Kyrie Irving. Dallas Mavericks damn sure can't afford another game like this from Kyrie Irving. But Luka was out there by himself, carrying the team on one knee, doing everything he could to keep his team afloat, especially in his second half, because that's when he started to show up big, had 13 points that entire second half, but it just wasn't enough because nobody else was there to help him out. The shooters that's usually around, PJ Washington, couldn't make a shot. Derrick Jones Jr. couldn't make a shot, was 2 for 9 for the entire game. But Mavs was just broke, bro. It was one of those games for them where they couldn't knock things down. They couldn't get things to fall. But ultimately, the Celtics had the complete opposite at one point for one player. And that's what really set them apart early on in the stage of making sure they got out early and got ahead. So that was a huge help for the Celtics. I think game 2 is going to be a little bit different, though. Hopefully the Mavs come out a little more awake and with a little more intention and intensity. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Anyway, look, I got Jaylen Brown here. After game 1, he had to share his thoughts on the game. They asked him about Kristaps Porzingis and what it means to see him on the floor, and also just a reflection of game 1. So here we go with that.
Just as a friend and as a teammate and as someone who's been around him, what did it feel like to see him have the kind of game that he had right off the bat and have that energy?
It was amazing. Nobody's more proud or more excited for him than I am, but, we got to get better. I mean, we got to, almost forget about it and get ready for the next one. We can't be celebrating ourselves. Dallas is, probably getting ready for the next game right now, so we got to prepare and get ready for the next one too.
And here's Kyrie Irving after the game 1 loss.
They're great. On into kind of the trap of relying on isolation and becoming stagnant.
I don't necessarily agree that it's a trap, that they want to set us. I think that they really rely on their great defensive ball pressure, their one-on-one defenders, and they funnel us into certain areas. I mean, even as I say that they're relying on the one-on-one, every time I got an ISO, there's, almost 2-3 people waiting for me to get in there. So I got to catch the ball on a live dribble and just be aware of my opportunities. It's uncharacteristic for us to have only 9 assists. The ball's got to move a little bit more. And again, that starts with me just being able to push the pace, get us some easy opportunities, and just adjust to what they're throwing at us. So it's a fun series. It was fun just, going into the game. It's still going to be fun, but there's going to be a level of chess that still has to be played. And, game 1 was just about adjustments. We obviously wanted to win this basketball game, gave ourselves a chance in the second half when we were down by 8. Then they brought it up to 16, and they got up to 22 when we called the timeout. So just going to be replaying some of these possessions, but, at the same time, look at some of the positives that we can carry on to game 2.